How's everybody doing?
Good. Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How concerned are you about Joe Milton right now?
I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I mean, again, he, we didn't get into rhythm offensively. It's, what we did in the first half against the Rams, I think came out with a little bit of a different mindset in terms of trying to run the ball. They got him, they fooled him a little bit on the safety on the third down there. We're trying to get the ball out of his hand fast, and they showed down one side, Calvin, and brought the blitz from the other side, and it just spooked him, and he's got to try to throw that ball away. His feet were kind of talking to him, but it wasn't just Joe. I mean, we got to be able to run the ball better, got to take care of the football. He throws the ball with a lot of tempo. I thought Hunter had a ball, he could have made a catch on the over. And again, you hit a couple of those things and it gets you going. Sometimes, you need somebody to help you make a play. And I don't think we did a great job of that. I just told the guys, I said, hey, the bottom line is this, we're not going to say that that's just a preseason game. We're not just going to say, oh, we'll be fine. We're going to look at it, because the fact that, we really lost both halves, that is something that we have to get corrected. There's too many good football players, too many good coaches for us to perform the way that we did tonight. So we'll look at the film. We'll find out the things that we did well. There'll certainly be a ton of corrections that we have to make, and we'll dive in first thing in the morning.
Before we broke camp, you said, I don't have a backup. After seeing Joe for 2 weeks, and you got one left, do you still feel that way?
Yeah, again, I feel like I don't have to decide anything today. We going to keep letting these guys practice. I just told the guys, get ready, because, the couple practices this week are going to be really physical, and we have to. But it's like all these position battles. We don't have to decide anything now. I think, like with the receivers, we were trying to get a good look at a couple of those guys that were fighting for those spots, and I thought a couple guys stepped up and did a nice job. I thought, Florino had a couple nice catches. Mingo made a great catch down the boundary, and then, I felt like we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with penalties when we would get some momentum, and so we got to be cleaner.
Clarence Hill, DLS Cowboys. Couple of you got off to a slow start again, and that's something you're not doing as well. It's not just not having plays, but you're not getting first downs, which contributes to that. And why are you not concerned with the backup quarterback, Joe Milton's play, whatever, when opposite side of the field you got a guy, Cooper Rush, who's won games here, and it shows you what you want in a backup quarterback. Do you know these guys can win games? Something had to happen to Dak Prescott?
Yeah, I think we have to believe that. I think we do believe that. I think, again, when you put a game plan together for these guys, and whether you're playing with Joe or you're playing with Will, you're going to have a plan of how you want to play. Hey, look, Cooper Rush has played in this league for a long time. What he did tonight, it didn't surprise anybody in the first half. I mean, I've seen him do that for the last 3 years. And so Joe Milton's in year 2, and so, again, I'm not panicked. Again, it's not just them. It's us as coaches. It's the other players. It's all that. But the biggest thing for me is, again, we just, we have to balance up the time of possession. We had the defense out there for over 40 minutes. That's too long. Well, why is that? Well, we weren't very good on third down, and we got to be better on third down. And they had a couple of wrinkles in the blitz game that we need to handle a little bit better. But for the most part, it's just really us executing, or tonight not executing.
When you said that he should have thrown it, were you talking about the interception, or you talking about the sack safety?
Ask it again.
When you said he should have thrown it away?
Yeah, so we were backed up. We had the negative play, so we called a quick answer. They showed down, and his feet were he was holding on the slant. We were trying to throw a little flat slant combination, and they had 2 free runners, so that was on him. Should have thrown away, yeah, and that's and again, like every opportunity you get when he comes over, you're teaching, you're coaching, and you're saying, hey, they showed down, they brought the pressure over here, and you're not going to yell and you're not going to scream, you're going to just teach. And the thing I love about Joe is when you talk to him, he's like, you're right. They got us with a cover 0, late in the game, and he was trying to do right and made a call, and there's a couple other things he probably could have done a little different.
Brian Todd Archer with ESPN. You said you want to be a physical team on both sides of the ball. Where do you think you guys, I know your regulars haven't played, but through 2 weeks, how would you assess what you've seen up front from your offensive and defensive line?
Yeah, I mean, I just addressed that with the guys. I mean, we're going to have some physical practice this week, Todd. We need to play more physical. I know we're more physical than that. Again, how do you do that? Well, you do that by having padded practices, and you do that by having your run drills and things like that. And we're not going to change who we are. We're not going to sit there and say, okay, hey, well, we're not, a physical team. I'm not ready to say that right now. I don't think that that's the answer. I think we're going to be a physical team, and I think we'll show that. But we have to practice that way. We have to have those in our practices, and then bring it into the games.
Second quarter, 4th and 1. You have BB and Booker in there, guys who will be starters for you. Yet you ran to the left, behind your, Nate Thomas, who makes.
Yeah, that ball's supposed to cut back. It's an inside zone run play that's actually supposed to cut back behind the B block of Book and those guys. We got a little bit of penetration on the front side there. They were zeroed out. They were cover zero. But the ball's supposed to cut back behind those guys. It's an inside zone play that should wrap back.
I know you probably have to look at some of the tape, but Booker's play overall.
Yeah, I thought, again, I didn't notice him as hard with some of the interior linemen. You guys probably saw it better than I did. But I will say I felt like some of the young guys played really well. I thought Shamar James played really, really well. I noticed him. I think, like you said, Book, played good. I thought Damone, who's really not a young player, he seemed like he was flying all over the place. So there's always positives that come from this. And that's what I told the guys. I said, look, it's not good when you lose both halves. Really you should win at least a half in these preseason games. And disappointed that we didn't. But we're going to get back to work and look for solutions.
John Machado with The Athletic, you had several veteran players playing this game that didn't play in the first one. How do you just kind of generally go about figuring out why play, let's say, like Kyrie Elam and Jack Sanborn and not like a Kenneth Murray? Yeah,
if they're younger players, you want to get them anywhere from 10 to 15 snaps is what you're thinking. Kyrie's new, Sanborn's, a younger player, where K9's played, a lot of football. So it's usually based off experience. And then for some of the guys, it's just, we want to get them out there and let them play a few snaps. Again, we let all of our guys go through pregame warmups. That was a big part of it for us. We wanted to get Dak and CD and all those guys, to go through the pregame warmups. We think that that's important. So the first time that they do it is not, in a regular season game, but it's a formula based on how much football they've played.
And then, I don't know, the TV cameras kind of caught you, were probably reading too much in this, but it kind of looked like you were annoyed by the way that they're measuring with the sticks now, virtually or whatever. Does that have any impact on you, or do you think it will as you're calling the game and the time it takes?
Well, the technology is definitely different. It's new. It's on a watch now, which is unique. It sounds like it's, those type of issues are happening kind of around the league right now, but it's preseason. Just like the league office isn't going to panic that their system's not working. It's the preseason, just like we're not going to panic, and we're not pushing the panic button. We're pushing the work button, and that's what we're going to do. And we'll get in tomorrow and watch the film, make the corrections. We'll see some guys that probably separated themselves from a evaluation process, which is great for them. And we'll start to, build the week's plan.
Nick Harris, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. How much did your offensive reps have to change given the time of possession difference in the first half?
Well, again, the thing that I thought we would run the ball better, Nick. I really did. I thought we could run the ball a little bit better, give them some credit. They did a nice job. But really, you try not to press. I thought the defense did a really good job keeping the game to whatever it was. I think, Booth's interception was awesome. It was so great to see him do that. It was a one-score game, I think, late in the second quarter. So there really wasn't much panic. But, we got a couple turnovers on defense, and then we turned it over on offense. We get the one sudden change, which we talked about this, all week in terms of can you gather that momentum. The defense gets the fumble, I think, right? And the very first play, we throw an interception. So those are the things you can't do. I think we had the ball around midfield, and Joe knew it right when he came off. I think you guys probably saw it. He took immediate accountability, went over and was talking to the receivers about it, and that's what I love about the guy.
I guess offensively specifically, is it tougher to really evaluate whenever there's only so many given reps? Booker was playing into the third quarter. That's probably not what y'all anticipated, right?
Yeah, no. But again, there's a number count we were trying to get, and when you don't get as many opportunities, you're going to have to, get the numbers that you want. I think we had him slated for like 20 to 25 plays. I'm not sure exactly what his numbers were, but again, it's a chance for us to get him some live reps that he needs.
Any initial look on Jonathan Mingo?
No. Again, we got a number of guys banged up, and we'll get some testing on those guys tomorrow. But number of guys got banged up. We had to throw a lot of moving parts at corner. We had to put Booth back in the game, some things like that. So we got dinged up pretty good out there.
Tommy Yarch, DallasCowboys.com. You've talked about getting a quarterback settled into a game when you start with a safety, and then you mentioned the interception after getting one defensively. What goes into resettling a quarterback into the game when you have stuff like that happen? How do you kind of get him back into those situations?
Well, again, number one, you always continue to have trust in him. I mean, I think you saw the third down and long play. We took the shot. He hit the Mingo. And then, unfortunately, we hit a big play, and then we try to, get the ball on the perimeter. We shoot ourselves in the foot. But really, for a young quarterback, it's about stacking plays, Tommy. You know what I'm saying? It's about, okay, get a streak of completions going. Okay, get a completion. Okay, I get 2 completions, then get 3. Then, okay, I missed one. Okay, then start a new streak. Okay, and I think what you find when you do that is they kind of work themselves into a good rhythm, and they feel with a lot more confidence when they're able to do that. So we just we're going to continue to trust Joe, and, again, made some great throws. And, again, the interception is the first thing that jumps out at me. I wish he'd have that one back.
Gilman Henderson, Gilmer Mirror. Coach, do you feel like now, you mentioned some of these guys separated themselves a little bit tonight. Do you feel like where you need to be looking to that final preseason game to make the cuts on Friday night's game?
I want to watch the film. I think, that's only fair to these players to say, let's watch the film and see kind of, where we are. But, yes, do I believe that that's the case? I do think a few guys took major steps today. What I don't get a chance to see a lot of is the special teams, and that's very critical when you talk about constructing your roster and things like that. So I want to definitely see the film. But, again, I think there were some guys that I thought, did a really nice job tonight. And once we see the film, we'll have a better idea.
All righty, thank you.
Thanks, guys.